Imagine this. You spend your whole life thinking you know your family, their flaws, their secrets, the way they love or fail to love you. But then, one night, a single discovery rips through everything you believed, and you realize the people closest to you were hiding something so dark that it changes who you are forever. That's exactly what happened to me. Before I dive in, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I love hearing the different places these stories reach, and tell me too what you would have done if you were in my shoes. My name is Rebecca. I'm 38 years old, and for most of my life, I believed I grew up in an ordinary family. My parents, Richard and Susan, were respected in our small community in Vermont. I was the middle child with an older brother, Daniel, and a younger sister, Grace. To outsiders, we looked perfect. The Henderson family, well-dressed at Sunday church, polite at neighborhood gatherings, always smiling in photographs. But photographs never tell the whole story, do they? My childhood was complicated. My father was strict, sometimes cold, but he provided. My mother was warm but fragile, often lost in her own sadness. Daniel was the golden child, the one Dad invested in, while Grace was the baby, sweet and adored. And me. I was the in-between. Invisible except when I made a mistake. For years I told myself it was normal. Families weren't perfect. Everyone had cracks. But what I didn't realize was that those cracks were actually fractures. Deep, dangerous ones, that had been carefully plastered over with lies. It all began unraveling the night of my mother's 60th birthday. We'd all gathered at the family home. Grace flew in from Chicago, Daniel from New York. The house was filled with laughter, candles, glasses of wine clinking. For a moment it felt like how family was supposed to feel. But then, late that night, after most of the guests had left, I went upstairs looking for a blanket. I wandered into Dad's study, a place I had been forbidden from since I was a child. The door was slightly open, and inside I saw Daniel sitting at Dad's old desk, rifling through papers. He froze when he saw me, slammed the drawer shut. "You shouldn't be in here," he snapped. "Neither should you," I replied. We stared at each other, the tension thick. Finally he brushed past me and left. Something inside me told me not to ignore it. After everyone went to bed, I snuck back into the study. I found the drawer Daniel had been digging through. It was locked, but I remembered how Dad always taped keys under furniture. Sure enough, taped beneath the desk was a small brass key. Inside the drawer was a leather-bound journal, old photographs, and a stack of legal documents. My hands shook as I flipped through the journal. The handwriting was Dad's, and what I read nearly made me drop it. Rebecca can never know the truth. If she finds out what really happened with Margaret, everything will fall apart. Margaret. Who was Margaret? The photographs gave me my answer. They showed a little girl. Blonde curls. Bright blue eyes. A girl who wasn't Grace. A girl who wasn't me. A girl standing beside Daniel, holding his hand, smiling. On the back of one photo, in Mom's handwriting, "Margaret, summer 1990. My blood turned to ice. 1990 was the year I was born. I flipped through the legal documents. Birth certificate. Hospital papers. All in the name of Margaret Henderson. Date of birth. May 12, 1990. My date of birth. I dropped the papers. My whole body went cold. Who was Margaret? Why did she have my birthday? I couldn't sleep that night. I kept replaying it in my head. At dawn I confronted Mom. I laid the photos on the kitchen table. "Who is Margaret?" Mom's face went pale. Her hands trembled as she pressed them against her mouth. "You found them," she whispered. "Who is she, Mom?" I demanded. She looked away, tears filling her eyes. "She was your twin." The words knocked the breath out of me. Twin. I had a twin. She was born a few minutes before you. But she didn't make it. She died when you were both still infants. I stared at her in disbelief. Then why all the pictures? Why the documents? Why the journal saying I can't know the truth? Mom broke down crying. Because she didn't die. The room tilted. I gripped the edge of the table to steady myself. She disappeared, Mom whispered. One night when you were both 3 years old. We put you girls to bed, and when I woke up, only you were there. The police questioned us for weeks. Your father was even suspected. But Margaret was gone. We never found her. I couldn't process it. I couldn't breathe. Twin. Missing all these years. And my parents had erased her from our lives as if she never existed. Why didn't you tell me? Shouted. Because it would have destroyed you, Mom sobbed. We had to move forward. We had to protect you. But it wasn't protection. It was betrayal. For days I couldn't focus. I kept picturing the little blonde-haired girl in the photos. My sister. My twin. Out there somewhere. Alive or dead. And then I remembered Daniel in the study, rifling through the drawer. He knew. He had to. When I confronted him, he didn't deny it. He just said, Rebecca, you need to let this go. Digging it up will only hurt you. But how could I let it go? She was my sister. I started digging. Old newspaper clippings, missing child reports, anything I could find. And then late one night I found something online. Forum about cold cases. There was a thread about Margaret Henderson. Someone had posted a photograph of a woman in her 30s who looked exactly like me. Same eyes. Smile. Same dimples. The caption read, Possible match, living under the name Megan Carter, Boston, Massachusetts. My heart pounded. I drove to Boston the next morning. I stood outside a small bookstore on a quiet street, staring through the window at a woman arranging books on a shelf. She looked up. Eyes met. And I swear it was like looking into a mirror. I walked inside. My voice shook. Margaret. She froze. The book slipped from her hand. Who are you? I'm Rebecca, I whispered. Your twin. Her face crumbled. Tears filled her eyes. I knew you'd find me. We sat in the back of the shop for hours, piecing together the lost years. She told me she'd been raised by another family. A wealthy couple who never explained where she came from. They treated her well, but she always felt misplaced. When she turned 18, she found adoption papers. No details, just a single name scribbled on the corner. Susan Henderson. She'd spent years trying to track us down, but every time she got close, something pushed her away. Dead ends. Threatening letters. People warning her to stop searching. And then she said something that made my blood run cold. It was Daniel, she whispered. Your brother. He found me once. He told me never to come back. That the family didn't want me. That I should disappear. I shook my head. No. He wouldn't. But deep down, I remembered the coldness in his eyes. The way he told me to stop digging. When I returned home, I confronted Daniel. At first he denied it. But then he leaned close and said, You don't understand what you're playing with. Margaret doesn't belong here. She never did. If you're smart, you'll keep your mouth shut. It was then I realized the truth. He wasn't just trying to protect me. He was protecting himself. And maybe even our father. The journal. The warnings. The secrets. Someone in my family had taken Margaret. Erased her. And now they were desperate to keep me from uncovering why. But I couldn't stop. Not now. Because once you open the door to the past, you can't close it again. And here's what I want to leave you with. Sometimes the greatest betrayal isn't from strangers. It's from the very people who raise you, love you, and smile at you across the dinner table. Tell me in the comments, what would you do if you found out you had a missing twin? And don't forget to tell me where you're watching from. If this story gave you chills, hit like, subscribe, and share it. Because family secrets never stay buried forever. They always find their way back.